Welcome to episode number 99 of the Closing Table with Lawyers title. I'm your host, Tamera Gaede. Today's guests are Rod and Laura Watson to talk about working with celebrities and professional athletes in San Diego and LA right after this.
Welcome to the Closing Table with host Tamera Gaede, where we break down how to be successful in real estate and what it's really like to work in the real estate business. This is the Closing Table with Lawyers title.
Welcome back. Again, I'm your host, Tamera Gaede. Today's guests are Rod and Laura Watson. They are luxury realtors and also have a sports and entertainment division. So they're also real estate advisors in that space at Distinct Concierge Real Estate in Los Angeles and San Diego, California, with plans to expand. So I'm really excited to have them on the show today. I met them at Inman Connect. They did some panels at both the Luxury Connect and the regular show, Inman Connect. And I was incredibly impressed with the business that they had built. And so they took a leap of faith to be on the show with me today. Laura and Rod, thank you so much for joining me. I'm excited to have you on and pick your brain about how you built your business.
Yeah, great. Thanks for having us.
Yep. Thanks for having us, Tamera.
Well, let me do a proper intro. Okay. So Rod is actually a former pro athlete, nationally recognized luxury real estate advisor based in LA, specializing in representing professional athletes, entertainers, and high net worth individuals. So Rod and Laura are trusted by the NBA and NFL players, celebrities, and high level professionals for their discretion, sharp negotiation skills, and white glove service. Their strategic expertise, market insight, and deep understanding of the lifestyle needs of an influenced clients set them apart in a competitive industry. So we have several major sports teams here. We also have celebrities that come into our town. So I thought this would be a really good topic to talk to my audience about. And so I want to start off with, how did you land your first celebrity or athlete client? Was it intentional or was it accidental?
I would say that it was somewhat intentional and accidental at the same time. I mean, we weren't really seeking to work with sports and entertainment professionals, but we were at the time living in Houston, and it was a friend of mine that I had built a relationship with through basketball, and he played for the Houston Rockets, and we basically reconnected after I was done playing professionally. He was on the back end of his career. We both had a membership at Lifetime Fitness. And so we reunited and had opportunity to reconnect. And from that, we built on to the relationship that was established where, he had a wife. I was married at the time. We had kids, and we started hanging out. So eventually it led to a transaction, but it wasn't something that was intentional. But we were looking to grow our business and build relationships, which is part of the reason why I had a membership at the gym, because affluent people came to that gym to work out, play basketball. So it was a great way to connect. And fortunately for him and I, we were reconnected, and ultimately it led to Laura and I selling his property about maybe 2.5, maybe 3 years later.
Yeah.
It was longer than that. Actually, we reunited in 2006, and we sold this house. It was 6 years in 2011.
Okay.
After we were already living here in San Diego, actually. So we had a pretty good relationship.
Was he in Houston or was he there where you are?
He was in Houston. His home that we sold in Houston. Okay. He trusted us enough actually to let us sell his house while we were living here.
Well, I have some reload clients, meaning they left their businesses where they were and came here. And, you find that kind of fades out over time. Have you had that experience as well? Or you still got a pretty robust business in Houston?
Yeah, you're right. It fades out over time as we become more busy here. The needs of clients and friends there, I would just refer them out because, for the time it would take to go back and forth. And in some cases, there's hand holding there with first time buyers or people that, that are referred by other individuals in your sphere. So I have 2 trusted advisors there that we refer business back and forth to. And really more of a need was to focus here where we are to continue to build.
Well, okay. So you kind of tapped into this. You said that it was kind of not really intentional, but you built a friendship with somebody and that's how you got your first transaction. Yeah. So kind of as you're breaking into that space, were there any specific strategies or networking techniques that you employed to really help your grow your business in that space? Or was it more just normal relationship building? Was there anything that was key to the success of growing that space?
Yeah, that's a great question. I know because a lot of people wonder how were we able to really, get in, evolve, and get to where we were. But it was strategic from the beginning. At the time, here in San Diego, I was fortunate enough to host a radio show on ESPN. And I leveraged the heck out of that show by creating private events. We did mansion party events that were high level networking events at listings anywhere between $3 to $5 million. And at that time, Facebook was still fairly new, so we would create invites, and it was invite. Well, we would create. How would you put it? It wasn't necessarily invite, but on Facebook back then, you could basically create events. Right? People could be able to look at the event and then they could register to attend the event. And so we had a screening process, and it was basically geared towards high net worth professionals or professionals, that were in the workplace, looking to connect with other professionals. So we created those events. And then from there, throughout the time of hosting the radio show, we expanded from San Diego to Los Angeles with the radio show. And that's when I started really tapping into some of the actual athletes and having them on our radio show to interview them about various things. Like I had a few rookies that were coming into the 2017 draft that we had on the show, coaches, former athletes, current NBA players. And so that really created a massive amount of momentum. And I was able to connect with a couple of business managers, sports agents. I had some introductions from an actual former player to his business manager and his agent. So all of those things kind of just snowballed and picked up massive momentum. But we used the strategy of networking and leveraging the radio show because we knew that everyone was aware of ESPN, brand awareness with ESPN. People were like, hey, we want to be in the room. We had athletes attending our events. Actually, we did a charity event for a former NFL Super Bowl champion.
Fundraiser for athletes.
Fundraiser where we actually partnered with Rady Children's Hospital, which is here in San Diego. And we were able to raise, I think, around $23,000, of which 17 went to Rady's. Well, it was broken up between Rady's Children and the Hamilton Heart Foundation, which Linnell Hamilton was the former Super Bowl champion for the New Orleans Saints, who we hosted this charity fundraising event for. We had over 600 attendees, and we hosted at Rolls Royce. We hosted it at the Rolls Royce Lamborghini O'Gara dealership in La Jolla.
Oh yeah,
that really helped position us out of the gate, and we just rode the momentum from there and just remained being strategic with events and connecting with people that would reach out to us. Meetings, a lot of meetings, a lot of meetings, but still being strategic about the approach. Events is really, I think, was the fast track for us.
I think organically, but and authentic, but always strategic.
Yeah,
right from the very beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, it evolved, into what it is now, but we certainly knew certain things that we wanted, and I had goals, but, still just kind of let it flow organically and just being authentic. I think that's how we've gotten here.
Yeah.
It's interesting. There's a common thread between, with the realtors that are in this space. And it's the thing that they ever always say is it just takes the one connection, right? The one person to get that ball rolling, to get that door open. And it just kind of keeps working from there. As long as you keep working it, right? It's not, you've got to work it also. So, and this is an interesting conversation for me as well, because I have clients that want to break into this luxury space, either luxury space or another specific niche within the luxury space. And they always ask me, how do you do it? And my answer is, you've got to go where they hang out, right? You've got to become their friend. You've got to network with them in their circles, right? So that takes me to another question. Are there specific social circles or particular industries? I mean, obviously the industry is the professional athletes, they're wherever, whatever sports team they're on, or a segment of part of the professional sports that they're in. But are there social circles that agents should target to connect with elite clients? So this is more of an open question, not specific to pro athletes.
Yeah. I think it's really about proximity. Like for me, I was a former athlete. I knew a lot of athletes. I knew coaches. I was around, basketball over 30 plus years. So from there, it was natural for me to move in a direction of creating events and being strategic about connecting with athletes. But I would say for any individual, what do you have access to? If you love golf, there's country clubs, there's private clubs that you can get into based upon where you live or who you have access to, right? Or there's car clubs, right? Or there's aviation clubs. I mean, there's all types of clubs, if you will. You have to think about what you're passionate about. What are you knowledgeable? Like I knew basketball, I knew sports, so I could have a conversation with athletes, whether we're just shooting the shit or we're just having conversations about, hey, this is what's going on in my life. It was natural, right? So you want to put yourself in an environment where you can thrive, not somewhere where you're like, this is awkward. Right. I don't really like these people. I don't really feel this. I'm not vibing with it. So I think it's proximity and figuring out, what do you have access to, and then working your way in that direction and being strategic with your approach on what value are you going to give to that audience when you engage with them.
That's where the authenticity comes in.
I agree.
You don't want to join some club that you really have no interest in and no knowledge about, and it's forced and people can tell.
Yeah. No doubt.
Yeah.
Well, okay. And kind of going back to that first event that you did, right? You said that you set it up on Facebook and made it a Facebook event, but how did you get the people there?
Well, you talk about, you gotta go where the fish are, right? And I'll give you an experience that I had. Even with going where the fish are, it doesn't mean you're going to catch fish. I had an experience going out 50 miles offshore. We were fishing for tuna, and we saw a big, blue, yellowfin tuna just everywhere. We throw our line out. They don't bite. I mean, we're talking about 2.5 hours, nothing, right? And that was eye-opening for me. Mm-hmm. So going back to answering that question, you can go where the fish are, but you also have to have the right bait. Right. And for us, it was strategy because we focused on using high-end properties to attract people.
And great entertainment.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Yep.
Yeah. Well, I'm just adding that, our events were more fun than we went to other networking events, and they were dry and they were a little bit boring and they were a little cliquey, to be honest. And ours were like that. It was the energy and the entertainment. There was so much energy there. That's what I remember from these events, the way that the people felt when they came in, and they were memorable, and they were like, when is the next one? Yeah.
And it was curated, right? So what we leveraged the properties, but we also had high-end chefs cooking food there. And we showed images of, the type of, what was the term we used? Gourmet, right? Gourmet bites, gourmet apps. And so appetizers. So we showed images of what the actual chef that we were working with, food that they had prepared in the past, and we used those images. And then once we had the proof of concept on the first event, we started sharing those images. We had high-quality video, photographers taking the photos. Everyone wants to have their photos taken. Then also we set a dress code. You're not coming into our event with a freaking jersey on, right? You're coming in, it's suits, it's sports coats. That's the minimum at the end of the day. No sneakers, unless it's it's on brand with sports. With your suit or whatever. So we had a dress code. We set the standard as far as what the expectations were to qualify to get into event. You had to actually apply. You couldn't just attend. You have to apply and then be approved to attend the event. So from that, for high level professionals, it's like, I want to be in that room. I get to be in a mansion. I get to have great food. I get to connect with other professionals. Maybe there's some professional athletes in the room, which there were. All of those things were compelling to where it led to where people were like, I want to attend that. And I think the timing at the time, this was like early 2015, 2016, where social media was starting to really how can I put it, like blow up, right? Where people were like, you can attend these various different events, and who doesn't want to be in a mansion connecting with high level professionals and eating great food? And also we had alcohol sponsors that were providing, cocktails at the event. So it was very curated, and it was, I think for us, setting it up that way, that led to people, and also people talking about it. And I think the last thing was that when people saw the photos from the events that were posted, it made people say, I want to be at the next one. And the people that were there say, I want to be at the next one. And so individuals were just talking about it, and a lot of buzz was going around.
Yeah. We had Brazilian dancers. We had mermaids in the pool. I mean,
mermaids.
Yeah. I mean, we really kind of went all out. It was fun. There was a lot of entertainment. It wasn't a dull moment.
Yeah, we had a red carpet. We had red carpet, step and repeat. I mean, it was high level. Media. Yeah, it was high level and great experiences. And also at that time, aside from ESPN being a part of it, I was the host. I also had a TV show in San Diego called The Neighborhood. So we were filming at the same time, too, while hosting these events. We were filming. So that was a big attraction as well.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. People love like you said, people love their photo taken and want to be on TV. I hear you.
We brought the Hollywood element to San Diego at that time that had never been done before in that way.
Yeah.
It never been seen before. And it hasn't been reduplicated since.
No, there's nothing going on.
Well, and that's a key too, is doing something different that nobody else is doing. And you created that demand of people wanting to be in the room. Yeah. Right. And so having that exclusivity, and also, that's a lot of things that open house, for lack of a better word, I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it is, right?
And another thing too, you talk about agents that want to break in. I was at Sotheby's and I had just moved over to Sotheby's in 2014. And I had, or maybe it was, I think it was 2014. But I had begun to build a relationship with some of the key, high level producers at Sotheby's. And I would approach them about allowing us to host these events at their listings. And several of them said yes, because how we positioned the events and how they were curated, that wasn't something they were able to do. They didn't have the resources. They didn't have the ability to get people to show up. And we did. So we brought the high level clients to them with the intent to say, hey, we're going to highlight your listing. We're going to hand over content from this event. You can share with your client. You can repost, share, etc. And also, we're going to talk about the property. So that allowed us to build connections with producing agents that were successful, and allowed me at the same time to become more knowledgeable about the areas, the properties, and, really more or less figure out how to position myself for the future as being a go-to elite real estate agent in the luxury space. So what I'm saying is this was a great way to collaborate with other agents and bring value to them at the time. And then it eventually led to me having my own listings and Laura and I down the road where we're listing $5, $6, $7 million, $10 million properties.
Well, and you get an opportunity to capture any buyers that might come in the door, that are for future properties, right? Because you're building those relationships. There's a lot of realtors that think open houses don't work. And like I said, if you want to get really, basic with this, which this is not basic at all, but if you were to say it was an open house, because that's kind of what it is, it's just a really elite open house. Well, there's realtors, yes, very expensive, very elite open house. Okay, I'm not trying to make it basic, not at all. But my point,
exclusive.
Very exclusive. Yes, very exclusive. But my point in saying that is you still, by doing those, you are leveraging what an open house is supposed to do, right? Provide you with opportunity to gain clients in the future. And so you're just doing it at an incredibly high level, right? So I think it's super smart on your part. So you kind of tapped into this when you joined Sotheby's, you had access to producers that had mega listings. Okay. And I call them ultra elite, listings. When they get to these price points, they're beyond the term luxury, in my opinion. But anyway, did you face any credibility issues, meaning, connecting with these people and also getting these producers to let you have access to these houses? They're like, who are you, Rod? So at the beginning, how did you overcome credibility issues?
ESPN.
Yeah.
Well,
ESPN, that was my credibility. I had a radio show and they didn't. So, and also how I position myself, and I had a TV show. So I forgot to mention that I pitched the TV show edition with the radio and said, hey, we have a network. We have a network of people who are, I believe, a great buyer pool. And at the end of the day, I mean, you want to get eyeballs on this property. So that was what helped me differentiate myself from everyone else and open up the doors. You have to have some type of leverage. And for me, I figured out what that was. Mine was ESPN and a TV show. I think other than that, if I hadn't had those two things, it would have been a little bit more challenging, probably a lot more challenging to actually get serious and give me the opportunities to deliver on what I said I could do. And that was the other thing. If you say you're going to do something, you got to be able to pull it off, because if you're not able to do that, you lose credibility really fast.
That's right. You got to do what you say you're going to do. Absolutely. You have to be a person of your word. That resonates with me so much. And I wouldn't have clients.
We didn't just do this concept in San Diego. We went on to LA to do this, because then I moved over to Douglas Elliman, and we did this with Douglas Elliman in LA with Ernie Carswell, who's a big time agent in LA. And he gave me the opportunity to host at a couple of his properties, and we reduplicated the same results there in LA. So this proof of concept can be done in any market. And we did it in multiple markets. We did it in Miami. So it's just, it's that value that you bring. And by the time I got to LA, I still had the radio show. We had two separate ones, one in San Diego and one in Los Angeles. So I bring that up to say this proof of concept, once it was done, we could take it on the road.
Do you still do them?
No, we do different events now. But I would say the positioning in the early stages was that it started getting to the point to where it was more like a party, and I didn't want that, right? And we started having events. We had 600-700 people in the house, and it's like that's too many people and too much life.
Oh my God!
The cops were coming. It turned into.
Even though it was still professional, it was nothing bad happening. It's just that's a lot of people. And it's a lot of liability.
Yeah.
It's a lot of liability. We had insurance for all the things
Yeah.
you need to do to protect yourself, but it was a lot of liability, and we wanted to move away from that. And being strategic, we also use it to build our database. I mean, we have over 40,000 people in our database now, right? Contacts.
40,000?
Yes. And, you know, being strategic from that regard, you know, I finally, Laura and I talked about it. Just like, we don't want to be known as the agents that just host parties, right? We've accomplished our mission to build our database and build a presence, but now we need to pivot and be even more strategic. And so we kind of moved away from it. And it's a lot of work, to be honest with you.
It is a lot of work.
And that's taken a lot of time away from focus on the business. Now that I have a presence, it's like now we pivot from that and we level up and go to the next level, which was at that point really starting to get deeper into the trenches of working with athletes and actually getting deals done. And then once we pivoted and focused on that, then the deals began to come. Immediately
and now we're showcasing our own listings,
right.
doing, you know, open houses and events at those rather than other people's.
Yeah, the events that we do now are still heavily curated. You know, we've done charity events for our clients in LA, former Clippers, Lakers, networking events that we've hosted, you know, at our penthouse listing downtown LA. Those have really worked. And we bring the same curated approach, but it's not 600 people, it's 50. Right?
Got it.
It's 75. It's more intimate.
We don't want that many people in our own listings.
Yeah.
We don't.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you one bit.
Yeah.
Not one bit. And you keep saying kind of the same words over and over again, heavily curated, right? Charity events are a big draw for celebrities. So there's a lot of golden nuggets in everything that you're saying that we can take and apply here. So thank you for being so open about your strategy. Let me ask you another question. So I'm kind of pivoting now that you're working deeper in your business and you're working more with your clients closely. What does that look like as far as expectations of the celebrity or the pro athlete for what they need from you? And how does that differ from your typical client?
It's your area expertise.
I think it's really just about asking a lot, right? Asking a lot of questions at the beginning and figuring out, you know, what their needs are, what the expectations are. And when you do that, I think you position yourself to be able to execute and actually deliver on what it is that they are expecting and that they need. I would say that one of the things that we do really well, we solve very high complex problems that everyday agents aren't equipped to actually get done. And I think that's our superpower at the end of the day. And we convey what that value is and how we can help these individuals once we understand what their pain points are and what their expectations are. So it could be timelines. It could be having to work around being traded. It could be divorce, which we dealt with that. And, you know, fortunately, those things come up. It could be, hey, you know, I'm buying a property here so I can be close to my kid, even though the athlete's not married, but their child's in this city and they want to have a property. So when they come to town in the summer, or it could be, hey, I'm trying to, you know, address certain challenges financially with taxes that, you know, you have to really understand what their pain points are. And I think once we understand that, then we can set a game plan. Just like in sports, you have a playbook, right? And you know, hey, here's the play that we're going to run. And hey, if we run into any challenges, then we have to improvise or pivot. But we know what we're working towards. We understand what the needs are, and then we have a goal that we're working towards accomplishing. So for us, it's really asking the right questions up front so you can figure out how you can better serve and help them and not assume anything.
I love that you said that. So there was one thing that resonated. I saw you guys at the luxury part of Connect. I mean, obviously I met you in the panel that you were on initially, but you were prevalent in the room and prevalent on other stages during Inman. But during the luxury segment, there was something that just kept getting said over and over and over again. And it's listen. You need to listen. So, and what you're doing is exactly what I do when I first meet a prospect, right? I sit down with them. We do a challenge solution conversation, right? And so it's how can I help you with solutions for the challenges that you're facing right now? I would assume that this is obviously much more complex because you're probably dealing with a lot of staff or support people around these athletes. So it's not just dealing with the person, but you're also dealing with managers and CPAs and, you know, all of these types of people, manager, you know, all the people that help them move down the road, right? But it's interesting because it's still the same conversation. It's listening and it's providing solutions for what challenges they're facing with their real estate problems and probably some other problems also.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, that you just touched on it. I mean, you're having to manage expectations, not just with the player, but you got the business manager, you got the mom, you got the wife or the girlfriend, you got the brother, right? You got the CPA, whoever they're relying upon as advisors to help them make that informed decision. You also have to win those people over. And then on the flip side, those people are also trying to show value to that client. They say, hey, we want to protect you.
Sure.
We want to make sure that you're not getting screwed over, right? And so you have to be able to juggle or more or less work between those individuals and build rapport with them. And it's multiple people. Like I said, you may not just have to deal with the mom. You might have to deal with the attorney, the agent, or you might have to deal with the attorney and the CPA, or you might have to deal with the business manager and the mom, right? And so, or the girlfriend. So there's multiple people that have opinions or that have a say in the process. And so from there, when you ask the right questions and you get everyone on the same page, you have a higher rate of success, opportunity to have success, with getting the transaction across the finish line. Because within all of that, you could have individuals also trying to sabotage the deal, right? Because they don't want to see,
that's not okay.
They're not in control over it. They don't want to see you have success with their client. Not that you've done anything wrong. It's just you run into those situations
maybe
sometimes
they
in
did
this space.
refer you
Yeah, it's
to the athlete.
Yeah,
right?
That's not okay.
Yeah. I mean, there's all types of things in this space you have to be prepared for. No transaction is the same.
And you have to manage the estate. If it's your listing, there's a lot of issues that may come up during the time. And right now, listings are sitting a little bit longer, so there's more opportunity for things to happen with the property. So you have to manage that.
Oh yeah.
And we're really on with that.
Okay, I haven't asked you to do this, so you can tell me no. But can you name drop?
No, I don't name drop. But I will tell people, in the words of the great Shaquille O'Neal, Google us.
Google us. That's right. Well, can you tell us a story? I mean, maybe you don't say their name, okay? But can you tell us a story, something interesting that's happened to you or surprised you when you met someone? I mean, do you fan over any of these people? Because I don't know, I might.
No, I will say this. I had opportunity. We had the opportunity to work with a very, very high level. Fortunately, all of our clients have been high level athletes, star athletes.
Yeah,
but
some retired,
but they're superstars. But one in particular, he's probably a top 5, top 7 player in the NBA. And we were referred to him, and I had an opportunity to meet him. And Laura and I were together, and we met him at a property where he was considering leasing. And we went in the property, him and I, and his agent at the time, and still is his agent. And we go upstairs, we walk through the property, but I'm reading his body language, and I'm like, he's not interested in this house. So he turns, and we're in the upstairs bedroom, and there's a chair, and he positions himself and he sits down. I'm like, oh, he wants to talk, right? And you have to have a certain level of emotional intelligence also in this space to be able to read people when it comes to non-verbal communication. Yep. So he turns around, he sits down, and I mirror his body language. I sit down, and I said, what are you thinking? And he proceeds to tell me that he's been renting in California. I'm going to cut this story down because I can go long-winded, but he proceeds to tell me how long he's been renting, and he actually got poor advice on purchasing a property, and that deal didn't go well. Turns out the things that he was told actually weren't the case, and this is after he closed on a $10+ million property. And so from that standpoint, he felt kind of burnt and just was frustrated. He's like, I don't want to keep dumping 40, 50 grand, each summer. And I've been doing this for 11, almost 12 years. So at that point, I said to him, I asked a few more questions about his situation and why he was considering purchasing. And that's when he told me his daughter was living in the city and he wanted to be close to her, and his wife and her family's in the city. And so he didn't want to keep renting. He wanted to have something that provided privacy and seclusion, right? Because his profile and the stuff he was dealing with at the time was pretty big. So I advised him and said, yes, you should invest money, the type of money you're talking about, into owning a property. And I have some suggestions. So I made some suggestions on where he should buy to be able to get the level of seclusion and privacy that he wanted. And in that moment, I told him, here's how we're going to handle the process to protect your privacy, your name, and also get this done within 21 days because he had a very small window. And he's like, can you do this in this time? Because if you can, then I'm leaning more towards getting this done with you. And I said, absolutely. And we walked out of that house. We got in the car, and I told my wife, the situation. And I said, look, we're going to get this done. And then 21 days later, we got it done. He bought a property in Malibu, 225 acres, one of the largest estates, and nobody knows who owns the property. Gosh. And I would say that estate at the time that what he paid for it to what its value now is 5x. So he's already in an equitable position with the property. He's done nothing to it. And if he does the things that we talked about, he puts himself in a easily $7,500 million estate. So with that said, the uniqueness in the story is this. You have to be able to read people. You have to be prepared. You got to know your stuff. And you got to lead with basically letting people know with your confidence that you have the ability to help them. And you have to be able to convey that in how you speak to them. And then you got to back it up with your actions and getting it done.
Right? Man, be ready when your numbers call. If you had been a little bit wishy-washy,
that's a cool story.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, this is a top 5 athlete, face all over the place. Most people choke up, they get nervous, but I was built for this. And I put the time and energy in, and I knew how to properly advise him and to guide him where he should be investing money. And plus, the place that I advised him to purchase, there was no mansion tax like the city of LA. The city of LA has this mansion tax except for Beverly Hills, Flats, and Malibu. Those are only 2 places where that doesn't exist. And I knew from an upside standpoint, if he ever decided to sell down the road, he wouldn't be impacted by that tax at the price point here. We're talking about 5.25%. That's a lot of money, right?
Oh no, we hear about it out here. If you pay attention to national news, we hear about y'all's mansion tax.
So, being knowledgeable about those things and being able to properly advise your client. And the mansion tax hadn't been in effect yet, but the word was it was coming, right? And so being able to understand the markets and know where to guide him, we were successful getting that transaction done in 21 days, exactly in the way we said we were going to get it done. And he was super happy about it. And so, again, you have to be ready. You have to know your stuff. And you have to have some charisma and obviously some confidence in this space to work with individuals, because they can pick up on if you're not confident, if you don't know your stuff, you're going to lose that opportunity. And I knew he was there not to talk about renting that property, even though that's what we set up a showing was for him to rent. That's not what he wanted. Sure. Right. And by asking the right questions rather than saying or being afraid, I told him the truth. I told him what he needed to hear. And the funny thing was, his agent was like, do you really think he should buy something versus renting? And I'm like, absolutely. Based upon his tax situation, yeah, he shouldn't be spending 50, 40 grand a year on properties, especially if he has family here and he's coming here every summer. Yes, he should own as opposed to. Well,
it was you listening to him. They were not listening to him.
Correct.
That's right.
And I think you're also not mentioning your really strong negotiation skills. You negotiated a heck of a deal.
Yeah, that's true.
Better than he was even asking for.
Yeah, that's true. And that's good you touched on that, because he was prepared to go in and list price. I'm like, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah. You saw the leverage there. You asked questions. You understood the sellers and details.
And we negotiated against the number 1 broker in Malibu. So I mean, you just have to have a certain level of confidence. You have to have knowledge, and you have to represent your clients at this level the way that they are being represented by their other advisors, their agents, their attorneys, right? You got to bring that same level of expertise and execution, or else you're going to miss out on opportunities.
Did you get in the car after all that was over and go, can you believe that just happened?
Kind of.
I actually got in the car and I told my wife, I'm a cold MF.
Yeah.
Man, this has been such a great conversation. And look, I want to honor your time, okay? But man, I could talk to you for a while longer. Very, very cool. Okay, before I close it off for the day, okay, one last question. What's the most surprising thing you've learned from working in this market with these type of clientele?
I think it's still your area of expertise, babe.
You don't have any surprising things?
I mean, everything is surprising to me. I mean, he's been doing this for 14 years, and I had another baby. We had another baby, and I've owned a business now going on 3 years. So I feel like it's still your area of expertise. I take on a whole different clientele. I work more in San Diego, deal with short sales, leases.
Yeah, you said that offline to me. Is there a lot of short sales out there right now? We're wondering, it's there's whispers of foreclosures coming.
I wouldn't say there's a large number of them yet, but it's starting to be something you're seeing more of. Yeah.
Yeah. I would say to answer your question, like surprises, I think the surprises are just what we're having to deal with in the market, right? You got high rates, you got inflation, you got Trump with his antics, tariffs, and you got the fires, a lot of things that have basically disrupted the traditional market. We're having to adapt. And I think that for me, everything's about mindset. It just resorts back to sports for me, because you can be an athlete and you can train, you can prepare for a season, but there's certain things you can't control. You can't control getting injured, but you can control how you respond after an injury, right? Mindset. In sports, in a game, you can watch all the video on tape to prepare for your opponent, but then you can get in a game and there can be an unexpected player doing something that you weren't prepared for. So you have to adapt. It's the same thing in business, right? You can know the markets, you can study, but then when things happen and your clients are like, what do we do in this market? A seller saying, hey, even though the comps reflect my home's at average prices, this price per square foot, but nobody's coming to see it. How do you handle those situations? Do you panic, or do you provide the type of information that the client needs so you can help them remain confident and basically understand, here's how we're going to navigate this process? So I think for me, it's just adapting, being prepared to adapt when anything comes about, and staying level-headed. Don't get too high, don't get too low, don't panic when things aren't going the way you expected. And so I grew up in my life, there was a lot of uncertainty. So, being in this business when things are so uncertain, I don't panic. I just all right, what's the solution to the problem? Let's figure it out.
You have an inner calmness that helps you with this business for sure.
Yeah, I think you're pretty laid back, Rod.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being on my show today. I am so honored to have you guys as guests. And so I won't take any more of your time for now, but I'm just very thankful. So I appreciate you guys being on the show today.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yep. Appreciate it.
Well, that's a wrap on episode number 99. Again, I'm your host, Tamera Gaede. If you like my content, you're really going to love my escrow team. So give me an opportunity to work with you on your title needs and make it a great day.